Hey, what's going on? So, in this video I'll talk about the best coolant leak that you can have in your Jeep. Well, it's not the best thing to have a coolant leak in your Jeep, but I'll talk about one of the best places that you could have a coolant leak in your Jeep. And in this case, it is a radiator cap. A few months ago I did a coolant flash and I had to remove the cap, and among other things. And then a couple of weeks ago I was driving around, and when I parked I've noticed this smell of the coolant, the burnt smell of the coolant, you know what it is. And I noticed a drip under the radiator. So of course I assumed the worst, thinking maybe one of the hose clamps, or even the worst, the radiator could go wrong, but it's actually not that. It was just a cap. And when I looked at the cap, I noticed that the cap was kind of upside down. I'll show you what I mean. But before we do that, I feel I have to do a public service announcement. Don't touch your radiator cap when the Jeep is hot. Make sure it's ice cold and only then proceed. Let me pop the hood and I'll show you what I mean. So after noticing the leak, I popped the hood, of course, and I started inspecting where it's coming from, and it was coming from right under here. And one thing I've noticed is that the cap was actually installed upside down like this. Not that it makes a lot of difference, there is no right way, but then I remember when I removed the cap, it actually was reading the right side down. So this is a little hack. If you're ever in a situation like that, and if you have a leak from the cap, just try flipping it around, see if the gasket malformed one way or the other. Well, in my case, the leak was not that bad at all. So I checked the overflow reservoir, and I was not losing much coolant, even though it smelled pretty bad. And I saw drops of coolant, but it was not a lot at all. And that little hack of flipping the cap upside down totally solved the issue. But of course I decided to replace it. Even Jeep recommends replacing the cap every 10 years or so. And this is where the story gets interesting. First I went to Amazon, started doing research, and to my surprise there were different caps. Well, that's not a surprise, but there were different pressures that were recommended for Jeep JK 2012. The big thing about this, as we know, that the pressure is directly proportional to the boiling point. So meaning that if you have 10 pounds of pressure, your temperature will be much lower than a cap that might have, like, let's say 20 pounds of pressure. That pressure boiling point will be much higher. Instead of buying it from Amazon, I decided to go to AutoZone, and they sell this Duralast brand, which is pretty good. I had a pretty good experience with that. And they sell a cap that is rated for 18. But on a Jeep's website, for my Jeep, they sell the caps that are rated for 17 pounds of pressure. Like I said, the pressure is proportional to the boiling point, but the difference is not exactly 1-to-1. It might be between 2 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the source. And I wasn't sure whether it's a new thing that the Jeep recommends by lowering the pressure, lowering the operating temperature of the Jeep, or whether it's just some kind of glitch in the system. So I decided to reach out to Mopar, Jeep Chrysler, their customer service, and this is what I asked them. Recently my radiator cap started to leak, which I'm looking to replace. My current cap, which is OEM, was rated at 18 PSI. My local Jeep dealer offers a new OEM radiator cap which is rated to 17 PSI, so that I have no reason to doubt that the information comes directly from the manufacturer. I understand that there is definitely a difference between two specifications that would directly affect the overall temperature, operating temperature, and consequently the fuel economy, performance and longevity of the engine. Did the Chrysler Mopar purposely change this PSI rating, and should I purchase a new cap rated at 17 PSI? Is that the recommended thing by the dealer and the company? So the first email that I got from their customer support was not helpful at all. They recommended that I do speak to my dealer, even though in my question I told them that I just spoke to my dealer and the dealer recommended new rating. After a few more days I sent another reply, instead of the customer support now to a technical support, And even the technical support now essentially provided me with the same recommendation, just talk to my dealer, even though I specifically said that I just did speak to my dealer and they recommended 17. So my question is, why are they changing? They did not answer that, which I finally decided to go to the dealership and go to the parts department. After about 30 minutes talking to the salesman and like talking to mechanics, they did convince me that the 17, a new 17 rating versus 18 rating is the way to go. Well, I already had that Duralast cap that I bought from AutoZone, which was about $7. And then I went to my local dealer and I bought this cap. That cap from the dealer was almost 40 bucks versus almost $8 from the AutoZone. Well, after talking for a half hour to the techs, the guy gave me a $5 discount. I guess a good customer, annoying customer discount. And they convinced me to run 17 pounds versus 18 pounds, which I currently had on my Jeep. So there we have it. I'm going to run a 17. Hopefully this will help some of you who are still not sure. I've seen a lot of discussion on various forums, various, like reviews of the products. And the bottom line, it looks like now Jeep recommends lowering your pressure, lowering your boiling temperature, so that your Jeep runs cooler maybe, and maybe lasts a little bit longer. Well, at this point, thank you for watching, and if you find this video helpful, please share it with your friends, like and subscribe. Take it easy, guys.